Perhaps you've heard the one about the Nigerian prince that needs to wire you a small fortune to help them out of an urgent crisis. These and other email scams rob people of their money and dignity on a regular basis. And the amount of money that these scammers rake in is so off the charts, you won't believe it. Join the richest as we explore the most notorious email scams and review what to do if you ever fall victim to one. So what is an email scam, and how did it all begin? Obviously, scam artists have been around much longer than the internet, but once that technology came along and e-commerce became a thing, scammers had a whole virtual world of people to prey on. In the early days of the internet, most commerce sites didn't have fraud protection measures in place, making it easier for people to commit credit card fraud. Around that same time, the phrase phishing with a PH was born. Phishing is the fraudulent attempt to obtain sensitive information such as usernames, passwords, or credit card details by disguising oneself as a trustworthy entity using email. There are a lot of ways that people do this. Let's talk about how to recognize these and some of the more popular email scamming methods. Perhaps the most famous of all email scams is something referred to as the Nigerian Prince scam. Essentially, the scammer emails the victim and claims to be someone of importance from some other country, and then proceeds to deliver some elaborate story about how their millions of dollars are now tied up in banks due to political reasons like a civil war or a coup. The scammer will then offer the victim a large amount of cash to help them transfer their personal fortune out of the country. All you have to do to get your coveted reward is provide them with all of your bank account details. This also often leads to the scammer claiming that the victim can't get their reward until they've paid several small fees to so-called lawyers or officials of some kind. Of course, the fortune and the reward never turn up. They're called Nigerian Prince scams because the first wave of these actually did come from Nigeria, with the scammers claiming to be a certified heir to the throne. So, receiving an email out of the blue from somebody from another country with an elaborate and often sad story about why they can't access their money and need your help to do so are huge warning signs, folks. Another method used by these internet criminals is the employee phishing scam. The perpetrators find a way to hack into company emails and send what appear to be official messages to all company employees. However, the email will almost always contain a malicious link that leads the victim to a fake login page resembling a real website. Those who are fooled provide the scammer with sensitive information like login credentials and other personal information. These types of scams can pose a significant threat for both the individual and entire organizations. The scammers will also very often try to create a false sense of urgency to help their success rate. Act now or your personal accounts will be at risk. Little does the victim know that by acting without thinking, they're taking their personal accounts from completely safe to actually at risk with one click. Show of hands, how many of you out there remember when email greeting cards were incredibly popular? Give this video a quick like if you do. It's true, in the early days of email, sending a virtual card for any occasion, a birthday, Easter, Valentine's Day, or what have you, was all the rage. Many of these services are still in use today. As you may have already guessed, the virtual greeting card is yet another method used by ill-natured scammers in order to inject malware and harvest a user's most valuable data. If you open this email and click on the card, you will likely wind up with a malicious software that will be downloaded and installed into your computer's operating system. Yikes! Now, it may just wind up being annoying adware filling your screen with pop-ups, but you just may also be inviting the criminals to siphon all of your private data and financial information into a fraudulent server controlled by the IT criminals. Ouch! In other words, be wary of unexpected email greeting cards, treat them with caution, and always make sure your computer is using a security program to ward off this type of danger. Moving right along, many folks rely on bank loans for things like starting a business or buying a home or a car. Watch out though, because this is another opportunity for you to be taken advantage of by those evil IT criminals. Once again, the scam artists may even use an official-looking logo in their emails, but this time they're claiming that a bank has pre-approved you for a hefty loan. Believe it or not, a large number of people lose money by paying the so-called mandatory processing fees required by the scammers. There are some easy ways to recognize this type of scam. The fake moneylender will often appear aggressive. Ask that the processing fees be paid up front and guarantee your approval. It's also a red flag when a lender contacts you out of the blue and offers you a loan. This is not normal. Another thing to look out for, generic email addresses. Trust us, no financial institution lender uses a Yahoo or a Hotmail address when conducting business. This may seem like a no-brainer to most of us, but according to a report by the Identity Theft Resources Center, the number of credit and debit card breaches from scams like these has been on the rise since 2017. Even more too good to be true than being magically awarded a large bank loan is being told that you've won the lottery. It's another classic internet scam. How does this one work? You open your email and you've got a message addressed not to you by name, but to Dear Winner or Dear Account Holder, informing you that you have just won an insanely large amount of money. Lucky you, right? You don't even remember buying a lotto ticket. Look, the bottom line is that you can easily spot this one. First off, if you didn't buy a ticket, you didn't win. Secondly, and this is true for any internet scam, if you're being asked to pay money to get your winnings, that's a huge red flag. If you're being pressured to respond, or being told to keep the news of your big winnings a secret, these are also signs that you've probably got a scammer on your hands. Lastly, is the prize even realistic? Oftentimes, lottery scam prizes don't even make any sense. For instance, if you live in the United States, and the email is from the Australian lottery saying that you've won 50 million Japanese yen, yeah, that should send up those red flags. Okay, so we keep mentioning how scammers use real-looking logos and company names, remember? These can be filed under what's known as an imitation scam. Let's talk a little bit more about those for a moment. A sinister way to fool consumers, scammers often pose as legitimate companies and send emails with urgent messages, warning the consumer that their account is under security breach unless they act fast. Little does the unsuspecting consumer realize that their account actually is in danger, but from the scammer, not from the company. Listen guys, legitimate companies simply do not send security center advisories via email. That alone is enough to tell you that it's fake. Take a moment to look for the signs. Do the websites match up to the ones that you normally use or ones that you can find through a quick Google search? If not, they're likely fake. Whatever you do, never click on a link sent from an unsolicited email. Doing so, once again, makes you vulnerable to malware. Next up, here's one that happens not only through email, but also social media and phone apps. It's called the online dating scam, or the romance scam. Yup, cyber criminals will even stoop so low as to prey on those looking for romance. Hundreds of women and men all over the globe are victims to this kind of scam. The victims are tricked into clearing out their bank accounts for the sake of their phony romantic interests. According to the Wall Street Journal, in 2017, upwards of 15,000 victims lost close to $210 million to romance scams. Over in the United Kingdom, the London Metropolitan Police Department's special cybercrime and fraud detectives, they want you to know, quote, victims of this fraud must understand that they are not foolish and that they are not alone. The reality is that the fraudsters are extremely manipulative and go to great lengths to convince their victims that they are in love and desperately in need of their financial assistance, end quote. It's best to report this type of crime to your local police department. Our last featured scam is actually quite frightening. Labeled the hitman scam, these cases involve cyber criminals sending you emails threatening to extort money. This type of online scam comes in various forms, such as the one where the sender actually threatens to kidnap the victim's family for a ransom. As if that weren't frightening enough, these extortion scammers will often create a real sense of danger by filling the message with details from the victim's life collected from online accounts, personal blogs, or social networking sites. This can serve as a real wake-up call to those who don't see the real importance of keeping sensitive information off social media channels. If you receive one of these, the best course of action is to contact your local FBI office or the Internet Crime Complaint Center, aka IC3. These are all just a few of the common email scams. There's plenty more out there. Make money fast scams, fake antivirus software scams, you name it. So how much money do these creeps actually make? A lot. In 2019, IC3 reported more than $3.5 billion in losses due to internet scams. That same year, the FBI's Recovery Asset Team successfully recovered $300 million for victims of cyber fraud. And get this, according to reports from ADT Security Services, the classic Nigerian Prince email scam cost Americans over $700,000 in 2018 alone, with the average victim losing $2,133. It's crazy, but it's true. So how do we prevent this? Matt Gorham, Assistant Director of the FBI's Cyber Division, stresses the importance of reporting these crimes to IC3, saying that they, quote, play a vital role in the FBI's ability to understand our cyber adversaries and their motives, which in turn helps us to impose risks and consequences on those who break our laws and threaten our national security, end quote. So remember, keep sensitive information private. Be wary of offers too good to be true. Never give credit card information to unknown sources.